Deep Blue Sea came out in 1999 and it was a movie that I really enjoyed. It was never great, but it was one of those ones that just could almost be counted as a guilty pleasure if I believed in that kind of thing. I had a lot of fun with it. But a great cast. It was directed by Rennie Harlan, Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, Thomas Jane, Saffron Burrows, a whole host of characters, some decent special effects. Don't hold up too much today. And now, 19 years later, we are finally getting the sequel that nobody asked for. Very few people really considered watching, but I was right on that train. As soon as I heard there was a sequel, I was chasing after a copy to try and check this thing out as soon as I could. It is a very similar plot to the original Deep Blue Sea. This is a low budget sequel, direct-to-video kind of thing that we seem to be getting more and more apparent. They take a property of some sort that has had moderate success and churn out sequels. Sometimes it's a bad thing, sometimes it actually turns out to be not too bad because it fits the material suited here. Like I said, this follows the similar plot of the first one. You have this billionaire who has bankrolled this experiment where this group of people are working on this brain drug to make things smarter, and they test it out on one of the planet's greatest killing machines, the bullhead shark. And they draw in a couple of scientists to come and just check out how their progress has been going and how it is turning out. You have the ex-military guy who is kind of wary of these animals and tries to wrap them up, the Thomas Jane character. You have this billionaire behind it all, kind of like the Samuel L. Jackson character. You have this shark preservationist who comes into this movie who has one of the greatest names ever. Her mother was an oceanographer or a scientific person before her, but somehow called her Misty Calhoun, which is a terrific name for a scientist. And then we have a couple of other scientists there who work with neurotechnology and brainwaves and can measure up those kind of things, although their scientific abilities never really come into the story at all. You have 5 sharks this time round rather than the 3 in the first movie. You can tell straight away that it's lower budget. You have all these actors who are kind of mimicking their semi-famous counterparts from the first movie 19 years ago. Even the base looks rather shoddy. It's a shack with a couple of walkways on the water, which looks terrible compared to the last one. Lots of the sets are just hallways that are flooded, that look very similar, but they are basked in a light of some sort. It'll be red, blue, green, whatever, which makes you wonder why isn't it all the same colour. But again, it's the direct-to-video aesthetic. They're trying to make it look different by lighting it different with a crazy colour. And then you have the conceit of the movie. You have these 5 bull sharks, giant killing machines who, you know, to be quite frank, I want to see them killing these people. I want to see them rampaging through the cast. But we never really get that, because what we find out is that one of the bull sharks is pregnant and has a swarm of babies who kind of act like piranha. You have these little sharks in this hallways with these people swarming around them and eating them up when they can. The character growth is non-existent. The characters are pretty bland, but that's to be expected with this kind of movie. But it moves along fairly quickly. There is a number of deaths that can be counted as semi-entertaining. There is some plot points that you can see coming a mile away. But overall, I like the world of Deep Blue Sea. I liked this movie, even though it takes itself a little bit too serious than it should have. It should be far more tongue-in-cheek, far more playful, and we should have the big sharks eating these people in constructive ways, or destructive ways. There is a couple of deaths from the sharks at the start that I thought was particularly fun to watch. The little sharks are alright. It's an interesting idea, but it's done primarily because of budgetary constraints, and you can tell that straight away. Deep Blue Sea is not for everybody. If you like the original and you like these kind of direct-to-video movies, you're going to get some enjoyment out of it. It's never going to be outstanding, but you know what? I'd probably still check out a part 3 because I do love the first one. I gave Deep Blue Sea 2.5 out of 5, and I'm probably being a little bit generous with that. But hey, I want to see a part 3. I want to see it get a little bit bigger budget. I want to see bigger sharks eating people because, you know what? Jaws has kind of ingrained that into me. That's what I kind of like. I'd love to know your thoughts on Deep Blue Sea 2. Let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man vs. Film.